Tun sat on the worn balcony of his small apartment, watching the evening sun fade behind the rooftops of Lagos. The city buzzed below, but his mind was quiet. He thought about how far he had come from nothing a village boy with big dreams. His job as a mechanic didn't pay much, but it kept him honest. And most nights, that honesty was enough to make him sleep with peace in his heart. Amara, his girlfriend of 3 years, was different. She loved beautiful things, bright dresses, soft perfumes, and the glow of city lights. But she also loved Tun's kindness. One day, she would say, holding his calloused hand, "We'll have our own shop, and I'll sit there with you, selling spare parts and smiling at customers." Her laughter always made him believe her. Their relationship wasn't perfect, but it was full of little promises. Tun saved every extra naira, hoping to rent a bigger place. Amara cooked when she could, though she sometimes complained about the smoky kitchen. "Baby," she would sigh, fanning herself. "One day I'll cook in a clean white kitchen, with air conditioning and a big fridge." He would smile and reply, "And I'll be the one paying for that fridge." Life took a turn when Tun's childhood friend, Delhi, returned from Port Harcourt. Delhi was everything Tun was not: tall, confident, and flashy. He drove a silver Camry and wore gold chains that caught the sun. "Tun, my guy," he shouted the first time they met again. "You still fixing cars?" You've suffered." Tun laughed awkwardly, not sure if it was a joke or an insult. Amara noticed Delhi immediately. His confidence drew her in like a magnet. He had stories about money, travel, and parties in Lekki. "Your friend is quite funny," she told Tun that night. "He talks like someone who has seen the world." Tun chuckled. "He talks more than he does. Don't let his mouth fool you." Days passed, and Delhi became a frequent visitor. He would park his car outside the workshop, bring drinks, and talk loudly about his business deals. Tun often introduced him proudly to customers. "That's my guy, Delhi. We grew up together." Sometimes, Tun didn't notice the way Delhi's eyes lingered on Amara, or how she laughed a little too long at his jokes. One evening, Tun came home to find Delhi and Amara sitting on the couch, laughing over something on her phone. "Hey," Tun said softly, setting down his bag. "What's funny?" Amara smiled. "Delhi was just showing me this funny video." "You won't believe it." Delhi grinned. Tun, your babe has sense of humor." "Oh." Tun smiled, but something inside him felt unsettled. Later that night, as they lay in bed, Amara scrolled through her phone. Tun turned to her and asked quietly, "You like Delhi's kind of person?" She hesitated, then said, "He's just confident. Sometimes I wish you'd talk like him, you know? Like someone who's sure of himself." Tun said nothing. He stared at the ceiling, his chest tightening. He had always believed love didn't need to compete. The next week, Tun asked Delhi if he could help him get better-paying clients. Delhi smiled, clapping him on the back. "Of course, bro. I've got connections. But you need to dress better, drive something nice. People respect packaging." Tun laughed uneasily. "One day I'll get there." Delhi winked. "Just don't take too long, or someone else might collect what belongs to you." Tun didn't understand what Delhi meant, but he brushed it off. He was too focused on work, saving up for a small shop of his own. Every day, he dreamed of surprising Amara with a signboard that read T&A Auto Repairs. He believed loyalty built everything: love, friendship, and business. He didn't know that both were slowly slipping away behind his back. Weeks passed, and Delhi's presence became part of their daily life. Sometimes, he picked Amara up from work when Tun was too busy. "Don't worry," he would say, flashing his gold watch. "You can trust me." And Tun did. After all, Delhi was like a brother. They shared childhood memories, the same dusty football field, the same struggles. Betrayal was the last thing on Tun's mind. One Saturday evening, they all went out for drinks. Delhi ordered pepper soup and expensive wine. "To friendship and success," he toasted. Amara's laughter rang louder than the music. Tun raised his glass, smiling, but he couldn't ignore the way she looked at Delhi, curious, admiring. He told himself he was imagining things. Jealousy was for weak men, he thought. And Tun was not weak. After that night, Amara started dressing differently. Her simple clothes were replaced with tight skirts and high heels. "You look nice," Tun said one morning, half smiling. "Where did you get this dress?" She looked away. "Deli helped me pick it. He said I should learn to look the part." Tun's smile faded, but he only nodded. "As long as you're happy," he whispered. Tun's mother, Mrs. Adesawa, noticed the change when she visited. "My son," she said softly, stirring a pot of stew. "That girl. Her eyes are beginning to wander." Tund frowned. "Mama, please don't start. Amara loves me." The old woman sighed. "Love doesn't hide its eyes, Tund. Be careful." He forced a smile, trying to push away the unease that was creeping in. One evening, while fixing a customer's car, Tun's phone buzzed. It was Amara. "Baby, I'll be home late. Deli's helping me with something." "Helping you with what?" he asked, wiping sweat from his brow. "Just something small," she said quickly. "Don't worry." Before he could say another word, the line went dead. He stared at the phone for a while, his chest heavy. The next day, Deli came by the workshop. "Bro, you look tired," he said, leaning against a car. "You work too hard. You should rest." Tund smiled faintly. "Someone has to build the future, ABI?" Deli laughed, showing his white teeth. "True. But don't forget to enjoy life too. Money is sweet, but women are sweeter when you know how to handle them." Tund didn't like the tone, but he stayed quiet. At home that night, Amara seemed distant. She scrolled through her phone, smiling faintly at her screen.
"Who are you chatting with?"
Tund asked playfully. "Just friends," she replied without looking up. He nodded and turned away. But deep inside, something felt wrong, like a quiet storm forming behind calm skies. 2 weeks later, Deli invited Tund to a car show. "Big men will be there," he said. "You'll meet potential clients." Excited, Tund wore his best shirt. But halfway through the evening, he saw something that made his heart freeze. Amara, standing beside Deli, dressed in a glittering gown. They laughed and whispered like a couple. When she noticed Tund, her smile vanished. Tund walked up slowly. "Amara, what's going on?" he asked in a low voice. She stammered, "I didn't know you'd be here." Deli quickly interrupted. "Relax, bro. We just came for the event together. No big deal." Tund nodded slowly, but his eyes stayed on Amara. The sparkle in her eyes was gone, replaced by guilt. That night, silence filled their room. Amara turned her back to him, pretending to sleep. Tund sat by the window, staring at the moon. His heart felt heavy, but he said nothing. He didn't want to accuse her. He still wanted to believe her. But deep down, he knew something sacred between them had cracked, and no words could hide the sound. The days that followed felt strange. Amara no longer waited for Tund at the door. She stopped cooking and started going out more often. "Where are you off to again?" Tund asked one morning, his voice calm but tired. "Just meeting a friend," she replied, brushing her hair. "You wouldn't know her." He didn't push further. He had learned that arguing only made her colder. At work, Tund found himself distracted. He would fix engines with shaky hands, his mind running wild with thoughts of where Amara might be. "Guy, you day okay?" one of his coworkers asked. "You look lost." Tund forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just tired." But in truth, he was breaking quietly, the kind of break no one could see, but everyone could feel. One rainy evening, he returned home early. The lights were off, but Deli's car was parked outside. Confused, he stepped inside quietly. Voices came from the living room, low, familiar voices. "You know he trusts you too much," Amara said softly. "Don't talk about him," Deli replied, his tone heavy. "You chose this, Amara." Her silence was louder than thunder. Tund froze. His heart raced. He wanted to rush in, shout, break something, but instead, he turned around and walked out into the rain. The water soaked through his shirt, but he didn't feel it. He walked aimlessly down the road, past noisy bars and quiet houses. Betrayal was no longer a story he heard from others.
It was his story now. He didn't go home that night.
He slept at the workshop, his head resting on a pile of clothes. By morning, his eyes were red, but he felt strangely calm. When Amara called, he didn't answer. She sent a text. "We need to talk." He stared at it for a long time before replying, "No need." That was the first time he ever said no to her. The next day, Deli showed up. "Tund, bro, let's talk," he began nervously. Tund didn't look up from the car he was repairing. "Talk about what?"
Deli sighed.
"About what happened." "It wasn't planned.
Feelings just happened."
Tund stopped working, looked at him, and said quietly, "So that's your excuse?" Deli swallowed hard. "I didn't mean to hurt you." Tund's lips curved in a sad smile.
"You did."
"But it's okay. I'll live." That night, Amara came to see him. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen. "Tund, please," she whispered, "I made a mistake." He didn't respond. She knelt beside him. "I was stupid. He made me feel seen. You were always busy, always tired." Tund looked at her for a long time. "So your love depends on attention?" he asked quietly. She broke into tears. He stood up slowly, brushing off his hands. "Amara, I gave you everything I could. Maybe not gold, not diamonds, but I gave you peace. You broke it." She reached for his hand, but he pulled away.
"Please," she begged.
"Don't shut me out." He sighed deeply. "I'm not shutting you out, Amara. I'm setting myself free." Word spread quickly in the neighborhood. People whispered. Neighbors stared. Deli stopped coming around, embarrassed and defensive. Some said Amara moved out for a while, staying with her cousin. Others said she followed Deli to Port Harcourt. Tund didn't care to know. He just focused on work, burying his pain in grease and metal. But life had a strange way of healing the broken. One afternoon, Zara, a quiet woman who worked at the spare parts shop nearby, brought him food. "You don't eat enough," she said softly. Tund smiled faintly. "I'm fine."
"No, you're not," she replied.
"But you will be." He looked at her, then really looked, and for the first time in months, he felt something warm flicker in his chest again. Months passed. The pain didn't vanish, but it became quieter, like an old wound that no longer bled but still ached when touched. Tund focused on his dream. With long hours and little sleep, he finally opened a small garage of his own. A bold red sign above the door read, "Tund's Auto Repairs." It wasn't much, but it was his built from sweat, tears, and survival. Zara became a constant presence. She never asked about Amara or Deli. She simply showed up, sometimes with food, sometimes with silence. Tund found peace in her calmness. "You're too kind," he told her once. She smiled gently. "Kindness doesn't cost anything. I just know what it's like to be broken and pretend you're fine." That night, her words stayed with him like a soft melody. Meanwhile, life was not kind to Amara. Deli's flashy world wasn't as golden as it looked. His business deals began to collapse, and soon, the car and the gold chains were gone. One evening, Amara found herself in a cheap apartment, staring at an empty wallet. "I thought you said you had plans," she snapped. Deli shouted back, "Plans change. I don't have money to feed two people." The sparkle in his eyes was gone. Amara began to realize what she had lost. She scrolled through old photos on her phone, pictures of her and Tund laughing over burnt rice, holding hands on their broken couch, smiling with nothing but love. Tears blurred her vision. "He gave me peace," she whispered, "and I threw it away." One morning, she saw Tund's new garage on her way to the market. The place looked bright and alive, full of customers. She stood across the road, watching him give orders, smiling at his workers. He looked stronger, happier. For a moment, she wanted to walk up to him, but her legs refused to move. Shame was heavier than fear. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She tossed on her small mattress, haunted by memories. She missed the smell of his shirt, the sound of his laughter, the way he used to call her my peace. Deli had already left town, chasing another quick deal. She was alone now, truly alone. The silence in her room was unbearable. Tund, on the other hand, had started to smile again. He hired 2 apprentices, bought new tools, and expanded his customer list. His mother visited one Sunday and hugged him proudly. "My son, I told you storms don't last forever," she said, eyes shining. Tund smiled. Yes, Mama. They wash the dirt away. She laughed softly. And make space for blessings. One afternoon, Zara invited him for a church Thanksgiving. You should come, she said. You've survived a lot. Tund hesitated but agreed. During the service, as music filled the air, he felt a calm he hadn't felt in years. For the first time, he prayed not for revenge, not for answers, but for peace. When the choir sang It Is Well, tears quietly rolled down his face. After the service, Zara handed him a handkerchief. You okay?
She asked.
He nodded. I think I am, he said with a faint smile. For the first time, I truly am. They walked home together under the soft evening light, and Tund realized something simple yet powerful: pain didn't have to define him. It could refine him. That night, as he locked up his garage, he saw someone standing across the street, a woman in a faded blue dress, holding a small purse. Even from a distance, he knew that face. Amara. She didn't move closer. She just stood there, eyes filled with tears, watching him quietly. He didn't speak either. The wind carried the silence between them, heavy, honest, and full of unfinished stories. Amara stood there for a long time before she finally gathered the courage to cross the road. Tund didn't move. His face was calm but unreadable. Tund, she whispered when she reached him, her voice trembling. You look different. He nodded slowly. Time does that to people. Her eyes searched his face for the man she once knew. He was still there, only wiser, quieter, stronger. I came to say I'm sorry, she said softly. Her voice cracked. I hurt you. I betrayed everything we had. I don't even know who I became. Tund said nothing. The only sound was the hum of passing cars. Finally, he spoke. You lost yourself trying to find something that was already yours. Tears streamed down her face. Can you ever forgive me?
She asked.
He looked up at the sky before replying. Forgiveness isn't hard, Amara. It's forgetting that takes time. They stood there in silence. The world around them moved on. Children laughed. Engines roared. Life continued. I thought leaving you would make me happy, she said. But all I found was emptiness. Deli left, and I realized I destroyed the only real thing I ever had. Tund's eyes softened. We all make choices. Some cost us more than we expect. Amara reached into her bag and pulled out an old photo of the two of them at the beach, barefoot, smiling under the sun. I kept this, she said. Every day I look at it and wonder how we got here. Tund took the photo, glanced at it briefly, then handed it back.
Keep it, he said gently.
It's a reminder not of what you lost, but of what you once had. I don't expect us to go back, she said quietly.
I just wanted to see you one last time. To tell you I'm sorry.
Tund nodded slowly. And I needed to see that you're okay. I used to think anger would make me strong, but it only made me tired. She managed a small, broken smile. You always had a soft heart, Tund. He shrugged. Maybe that's my strength. Before she left, she looked at the garage again. You did it, she said with pride. You built your dream. He smiled faintly.
Yes. Pain taught me how.
She stepped closer. And Zara? She asked quietly. He didn't answer. Instead, he said, some people enter our lives to teach us love. Others enter to teach us loss. Both are teachers. Amara took a deep breath, nodded, and stepped back. I'll pray for you, she whispered. Tund smiled kindly. Pray for yourself too. You deserve peace. She hesitated, wanting to hug him, but decided not to. Instead, she walked away slowly, her figure fading into the evening crowd. The sound of her footsteps blended with the city noise until it disappeared completely. As the night deepened, Tund sat outside the garage, watching the stars. His mother's words echoed in his mind, storms don't last forever. He now understood. They wash away the weak roots and leave behind the ones that can grow again. He felt no anger, no bitterness, only calm acceptance. The kind that comes when a heart finally heals. Later, Zara arrived with 2 cups of tea. You're still awake? She asked, handing him one. Couldn't sleep, he replied, smiling. Someone visited. I saw, she said softly. You okay? He nodded.
Yes.
I finally let go. She smiled, sitting beside him. The warm tea steamed between them, carrying the faint scent of hope. They didn't need words. Silence was enough. The wind blew gently, rustling the leaves. Tun looked at the sky one last time and whispered to himself, "Some promises break, so new ones can be made." He turned to Zara and smiled. "Tomorrow's a new day." She smiled back, her eyes reflecting the quiet peace in his. And as the night wrapped around them, the past finally found its rest not in revenge, but in redemption. Please like, comment, and subscribe.